guys who helped me get started. Got to give credit where it's due. Disrupt Equity, Ben Suttles and Ferris Musa. I partnered with them on 3 deals, and I was at their firm for about 6 months, and learned a lot from them. So that S2 Capital, he's 31 years old. He's done over 20,000 units. I have what I like to call a dream advisory board. So I actually have this written down. There's a lot of people. Swapno Agrawal out of Houston. He's done close to 20,000 units, and he started in 2013. So those are some of the few people I really look up to. And when it comes to that question, for people watching, you have to find people who have the, similar path as you, because I really think success leaves clues. So literally get a list of people you find inspiring, and come up with like a dream advisory board. I have a dream advisory board on my phone right now for private equity, multifamily operators, and the real estate development, right? So I think it's coming up with your list and then finding a way to add value to them, or just follow them on LinkedIn and whatnot. So that would be my tips as far as like looking for a mentor.
Awesome. What about you, John?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I completely agree with what Ronny said. A couple of guys that I look up to. I looked up to Steve Schwartzman, the CEO and one of the co-founder of Blackstone. He's one guy that I definitely look up to. I actually have him as on my screensaver. Him and there's 2 other guys when he used to work at Lehman Brothers. I have him as a screensaver. I look at that almost every single day. And one of our main partners on our deal in Houston, Zadig Management. They have over, I believe, 8,000 doors right now. They've been in the business for a really long time. They have a lot of connections. They have a lot of experience, and I look at them as a mentor.
Awesome. All right. What about you, David?
Yeah, I've got a lot of different mentors that I've met and kind of connected with well over the years. One of my first great mentors, he sold me my 3rd property, and he owned he didn't have a huge number of doors, like 20,000, but he owned 4,000 units free and clear on his own.
Wow.
And aside from a bunch of other stuff he owned. And so seeing that, I was like, man, like how'd you do that? He started when he was like 28 and he was 70, 71 at the time. And so he started as a real estate broker and kind of worked his way up, built his first deal. And I actually bought from him 40 years later, the first deal he ever built, that 96 units. So it was just kind of cool over time seeing how he was able to create that portfolio. And then I'm totally a huge fan, like what John said, of, like Steve Schwartzman and Ray Dalio, these huge private equity fund owners and managers, and like what they can create with scale, and just the massive amounts of capital that they trade on a daily basis is insane. So there's so many different points of view, right? You've got kind of like the old school classic owners that, own everything themselves. And then you've got guys that syndicate everything, like these big private equity funds, but they own 20% of $10 billion, right? So it's like a different mindset. There's so many different ways. And so I get inspired in different ways, and it kind of points me in all different directions. So.
Awesome. Very cool. Everybody, you guys are all pretty young. So did you guys ever have, limiting beliefs creep up in your mind? And if so, how did you clear those beliefs to get started? Because a lot of times, we're talking sophisticated investments with people that are 20, 30, 40 years older. So how did you guys get over that hurdle?
As far as limiting beliefs, I think it's really coming out with that dream advisory board, right? So I think understanding, who has the success you want, and what are their patterns, right? And anything's possible, but you also have to there's levels to certain things. Like, of course, I want to be like Blackstone. Like, my goal is to be a large private equity firm, right? But I think multifamily is a stepping stone into getting there. And I have talks with John almost every week on this, right? But I think there's stepping stones when it comes to that. And then finding people, within the same field, industry, same age range, similar backgrounds. I think that makes things more believable, so finding guys like John and David, Hayden, different people like that. Y'all always inspire me because, we're what we have at a young age. We have a huge advantage over people who are in their 30s or 40s or more, right? Because we have time. That's something no one can buy. So as far as limiting beliefs, I really think you got to find like a few guys you really look up to and find a way to either meet with them or study their patterns or work for them. And I feel like that's how you can break those limiting beliefs.
Yeah, I completely agree. When it comes to making that phone call, if you're, I don't know, like that first phone call with the broker, you really have to dig into yourself and say, like, why am I doing this? Like, why do I really want this? And just go for it. You just got to go for it. Just got to go for it. You got to do what you need to do in order to get it done. And also having good mentors around you that will push you. They'll make you uncomfortable because everything that you want is outside of your comfort zone. So whatever you need to do to get it, you got to do it.
Yeah, I agree with both those guys. I think I was maybe too dumb or ignorant when I started. I was just so young and naive on what could possibly go wrong that when I first got into it, I had like zero fear. I didn't even think of the negatives that could come out of it. I was like, dude, just because somebody in their 50s could buy an apartment building does not mean I can't. Like, what's the difference between me and him? I mean, I'm still signing on the dotted line at the end of the day. I just need to figure out how to come up with the money and how to find the deal. And so I almost, I get asked a lot, like, do you think being young has ever hurt you? I think honestly, if anything, it's only helped me. I don't remember a single time where somebody has said to my face, like, hey, I'm not going to do business with you because you're young or because you're inexperienced. So maybe it's because they didn't know how young I was because I talked to them over the phone. But so I don't know. I haven't had any limited beliefs in that way. And right now I still, I don't think I really do. I think like there's not a single deal I couldn't take down. And I think the same is true for all you guys. It's just about knowing the right people, right? You want to do a bigger deal, go find a bigger equity partner, go get a bigger check written. You're just one contact away from that. Right. So that's my thought process.
Awesome. Ronny, so there's a lot of people on here that are, some people are passive investors and some people are aspiring to be syndicators and kind of do what we do. And so what advice would you have for someone getting started?
As far as a passive investor or as a sponsor doing the
I guess deal? more on the sponsor side.
On the sponsorship side, identify what your core values are, right? So, your 5 core values, and then find people who align with it. Like guys on these panel, I'll partner with them because our core values and our mission is aligned, right? And I know we'll do business in some form or fashion these next couple months or years, right? So, and then find people who have complementary skill sets, right? And identify what your skill set is, right? So even on here, what are the special skill sets you get on the GP side? Net worth, liquidity, track record, asset management, operations, systems, underwriting, raising equity, marketing, property management, due diligence. So there's all these different things, right? So find like 2 or 3 things you're good at and then partner with people who have the other complementary skill sets. And then you want a lot of people are on the same path, but not a lot of people are on the same pace. So find people who are on the same pace as you. So that's how I was able to pick the partners I work with. So I think getting started, you had to really identify that.
Awesome. John, what about you for advice on getting started?
Yeah, really just something I'd like to add to what Ronny said. Be willing to work for free. Entrepreneurs work for free. So I'd say be willing to work for free and associate with people that have what you want.
Cool. And David, what about you?
I don't know, man. I don't work for free, John, but I'm just kidding. So I think I love what both these guys just said. You got to be willing to put yourself out there and not, I remember the first couple of people I partnered with, I expected nothing in return. I was willing to add the value, like John said, work for free. But when you get into your first deal, biggest thing I think is everyone talks about doing 100+ unit deals. You hear even us young guys talking about doing these large deals. Like it's not easy to jump in and just start with that, right? My first deal was 12 units. I wouldn't have been able to do a 100-unit deal if I didn't do a 12-unit deal first. So I think that it's really good to start off. If you really want to build a lot of wealth in this and you really want to get to know and make this like your main business, do something that's like 20 to 50 units, $1 million loan size minimum, just so that you have the ability to get good financing. You don't want to go to the little regional banks. So you want to get, agency loans, $1 million minimum, and do that, and minimal partners, as few partners as possible. Put in more time, do more of the work, pick up more of the slack. You're going to learn more, and you're going to earn more, right? You want to be exiting these deals making a couple $100,000 on a single check, or $1 million on a single check, than having very small pieces. So what I would say is limit the amount of partners. You're going to learn more, and then start a little smaller, and then you can grow into the bigger and bigger deals.
That's awesome. Good advice. I guess we got one more prepared question. So if anybody has questions, you can start dropping them in the chat box. But last question we have is, what are your 5-year goals? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What are you really aspiring to do?
So 5-year goals, NMHC top 50 owners. I feel like that's good goal to have, because I want my foundation to be strong in multifamily, be vertically integrated from the acquisition to the management to the construction. And then I want to raise $1 billion by the time I'm 30. So I don't have a 5-year goal. I have a till I'm 30 goal. So I got 4 years left. So I want to raise $1 billion equity fund, and provide JV equity. I'm leaning more towards the private equity route versus the multifamily side. I think multifamily is a great foundation. It'll always be a good business to be in, but I see more opportunities on the PE side. So those are my 5-year goals. Then, I think another thing is like having a company so big to where, I can give back to people. I can go back to my high school and provide internship opportunities, serve people, be able to donate to different causes and whatnot. So I think the point of having a big business is to give back. So getting to that point by the time I'm 30, that would be awesome.
Awesome. What about you, John?
Yeah, I'd say to be vertically integrated, to have a property management in-house, construction in-house. We already have construction in-house right now. So getting the property management side in-house, definitely to IPO on 20,000 units. That's definitely be our 5-year goal. And also to raise a fund as well. We plan on raising, maybe over $1 billion fund in less than 5 years. And yeah, JVing on different deals and making things happen on that side as well.
Wow. Awesome. How about you, David?
I love that. There's no doubt in my mind both of you guys will accomplish both of those, by the way. So 5-year goals. So the software company that I'm working on, I definitely want that to be a $100 million valuation within the next 5 years. I think that's really achievable. I would like to be at, say, 5 to 10,000 apartments syndicated the right way, with the right partners and the right structure, would really, put us in the right place. So I'd probably like to start at least one more business as well. I'm like a serial entrepreneur. I like to have things on the side too. So so I would say between the software, the real estate holdings, and then maybe add one more thing on.
Okay. We've gotten a few questions. One of them is, how did you deal with rejections when you first started out? So either, any one of you guys, if you want to take it, or multiple. So
you just got to eat that shit for breakfast, man. Rejection is your best friend. So I don't know. You've really just got to learn that you can't care about what other people's opinions are, and it really has no effect on you. I mean, I could think back and probably, if I really put thought into it, come up with like 50 to 100 different mistakes I made just in my first 12 months of getting started. And I'm sure not a single person that I made that mistake with would remember it if I even brought it up. So just think it just doesn't matter. You know, what matters is that you're making progress.
It's a numbers game. You know, if you're not getting the deals that you want, you need to call more people. You need to call more brokers. You need to call more sellers. At the end of the day, I think that everything's a numbers game when it comes to raising equity, when it comes to finding deals, when it comes to finding partners. You know, just talking to as many people as possible to get as much experience as possible and make a decision.
I think as far as rejection goes, there's a lot of ways to look at it. Sometimes you're being protected from a deal or an equity partner or whatever, right? But I think it is a numbers game in a sense, but you also have to realize the people we're dealing with are actually people, owners, brokers, investors, right? So I think when it comes to rejection, if you really, really care about the other person, they'll find a way to do business with you. So you just have to be able to add enough value and get feedback. If someone rejects you, ask, hey, um, why why didn't you invest in this deal? Is it the market? Is it our group? Like, what is it? Right. And as you get feedback, that's how you can approach them differently next time. Because even when it comes to raising equity, right, on deals, and we do large deals, like our average deal is what, $5 million as far as equity raise, so it takes a lot of phone calls to raise that money, right? And especially whenever we have deals under contract, right? So I think it's getting feedback from investors, and then as you do another deal, you have this whole pipeline of people. Oh, I'm not ready now. So don't take rejection personally either.
That's good advice. We've got another one from Cameron Roy. He said, best advice for raising capital when you're trying to lock down that first deal.
Numbers. You got to talk to a lot of people, especially if you're new to it. If your first deal, like, you just have to talk to a ton of people. You're going to, expect 75% of the people that verbally commit to you to not write a check, is what I'd say. Raise 4 times as much money as you think. Because seriously, a lot of people will say they're going to invest and they never do. I'm sure John and Ron, you've had similar experience, right? There's a lot of people that they talk, but when it comes time to write the check, they don't always come through at first.
Yeah, I agree with David. When it comes to raising capital, you're providing an opportunity for people to invest. So that's the first thing. So you're not asking for money, you're creating opportunities. And that's why I've been so effective at raising equity. And each investor, each person I meet with, whether it's at the Momentum event or any other meetups, I follow up with them in an email, get them on my calendar, schedule a call, and I have a series of questions I ask them to understand what their bandwidth is as far as investing, because some people can only invest once a year, which is fine. But there's some people who are repeat, right? So I think when it comes to starting off and raising equity, you have to go to all the meetups, the conferences. I see David on stage and pretty much every conference I go to, John, meeting all the big equity groups, right? It's a networking game, right? But you have to build deep relationships with each potential equity partner, whether that's a high net worth individual or a private equity check writer.
It all comes down to the relationship. When it comes to raising equity, they're investing in you more than anything, not even the deal. I mean, the deal could have perfect numbers. The deal can have everything that they're looking for. They can say, they're looking for, 12% IRR and your deal has 15% IRR. But they're not going to invest in the deal if they don't trust you. So building that foundation of trust and maintaining that foundation of trust throughout the long term with the investor, very, very important.
So Lady Z had a question. I don't know if you guys will, I'll ask it, but what does the panel think about other asset classes during the coronavirus situation? I don't know if any of you guys are really in other asset classes. So I think it's really studying the data of what I think retail is getting crushed,
Sure.
An office. But there can also be some like really good opportunities.
in those spaces. But as far as other asset classes, I mean, I think storage is another good complementary asset class. Um, so that's kind of my opinion on that. And things will recover, but I do think there's going to be a shift in behavior, at least this next year or so.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think storage, I think some of the asset classes that will shine throughout this are going to be obviously multifamily, self-storage, industrial has done really well actually. So, you're going to see the outliers are going to be office and retail, and they are getting crushed. And so, depending on how long everything lasts with COVID here, I mean, we're either going to see a mild short-term effect on those, or we might really see a pretty big long-term mindset shift away from those kind of asset classes. So we'll see. I don't touch them either way. So
yeah, so we specialize in C2B multifamily properties. One because they're one of the safest asset classes in real estate. I mean, when you're looking at something like an airline business, Warren Buffett just pulled out of all of his airline companies because they're tanking. If you look at them, they're tanking. Who's gonna sit in the middle seat now? Who's gonna take the middle seat when it comes to an airline business? No, what customer is gonna post COVID, what customer is gonna want to take in a middle seat in an airplane? So when it comes to looking for investments, I would focus on investments that are recession resilient and that have proven to, not only weather the storm, but bounce back during economic cycles.
Awesome. Carrie asks, do you think value add is where the focus should be post-COVID? Or where do you see opportunities after this passes?
yeah, I think the focus should always be value investing. I mean, whether you're doing an actual value add or you're buying a property that is valued lower than where it should be in the market, right? I mean, you're always looking to buy at a discount. The reason we do value add is because with the value add portion and the improvement, we're going to be at an all-in basis that is 20% below market or whatever it might be, right? We're buying it for 5 million. We're putting 2.5 into it and it's worth 10. So we got a 25% spread there. So, you're always looking to buy at a value, at a discount to where the market's at, or add value. I think that'll always be the focus. I don't see that changing. So development, I think, is going to continue to be one of the ultimate value adds though. If you do it right, if you do development right, I think it will be. So.
Yeah. I think I'll add a few points to that. As far as value add, yeah, that could be the focus post COVID. I think that's a good idea. That's our strategy. But also, you have to see there's also different types of equity out there. So I think you can buy anything with the right equity. So that's another point I'd like to add.
I would say on the value add side, you got to make sure that you're targeting a true motivated seller, somebody who really needs to buy, really needs to sell their property, where you're actually buying it at wholesale price. That way, if you can buy it low enough, no matter what happens, you're still going to make money. I mean, you could buy it, extremely low, and everything can go wrong and still make money. So if you can buy it at a low enough basis, it will make sense in this current market.
Had another question, and is anyone investing in mobile home parks? Why or why not? I didn't think you guys were, but
Why? I mean, I have friends that do, and I think they do very well. Why not? It's almost like a personal preference too. Like I like investing quality assets that that it is a certain class of housing. So I don't know. I think they do well though.
Yeah. I think mobile home parks are an interesting asset class because I don't think any city wants mobile home park communities. So it's an asset class that is not going to be built or can be built, or it's difficult, like B and C class multifamily and then mobile home parks. But I agree with David. There's certain type of asset class that I want in my portfolio, and mobile home parks would be a stretch unless I find the right operating partner.
I think it's about choosing the vehicle that helps you get to your goals, either quicker or faster. So when it comes to mobile home parks, I don't think it would be the best on, when it comes to what my goals are. I think multifamily it's more scalable, you know. So that's why I've chosen multifamily. I'm sure there's a lot of guys in mobile home parks that are very, very successful at it and really know what they're doing. But really just depends on the vehicle that you want to choose in order to get to the goals that you want to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, it's just it's a different deal too. You can with B and C apartments, if you want to just focus on DFW, you can. If you're in mobile home parks, you're in East Texas, you're potentially in West Texas, you're in the Southeast, you're in the Midwest because the cap rates are a lot more attractive there. And then you have to self-manage because there's not third-party management really. So it's just you got to vertically integrate out of the box. The people that I see that are doing it well, you got to do it out of the box, and you got to have some scale. So yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, Carrie had another question. Are you guys focusing on finding heavy lifts, new construction, Class A and B? What do you guys focus on finding right now?
My primary focus is B and C class value add. So as far as like new construction Class A, it just depends. I'm still trying to build that equity list. So if there's the right equity for it, I'll do a Class A, and you have to have the right team too. But I think core focus is really important. So B and C class value add is where I'm staying.
I'm doing one of each right now, actually. So I'm doing we have a 50 unit ground up development. We've got a 230 unit portfolio of B class properties that are in great shape, 99% occupied, but the rents are like $300-400 below market. And then we've got a deal in Fort Worth that's 65% occupied. We're putting about 16 a door into the property, and that's more of a heavy lift. So we're just opportunistic. Depends on what the project is, where it's at, how much money is there to be made on it for us and for the investors. And yeah.
We're focusing on B and C multifamily. We're actually working on a deal right now in Oklahoma. It's a 800 unit deal, and what we're doing is we're making sure we're buying it at a low enough basis, to weather the storm. We're underwriting a little bit more conservative than what would have been in the past. So I think that's really what it boils down to. Be a little bit more conservative on your underwriting and buy it cheaper. If there's something you had under contract, a couple months ago, get it at a better price. That's especially with the situation going on, because the asset that you're going to buy isn't the same asset that it is today.
Right, for sure. Any other questions for our panel? Okay, yeah. I don't know if Hayden, if you had anything else. I think we're. Is there anything that any three of you guys, if you want anything you want to leave off with, or feel free to you have the floor.
Well, I would say when it comes to being successful in multifamily, taking action is the most important. So whatever it is that you want to do, surround yourself with the right people and take action to make it happen.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You want to be an entrepreneur, you've got to hustle. If you find it very difficult to motivate yourself to put in the time and effort, hate to say it, but it might not be for everybody. It is not an easy business, and you will not get there by putting in 5 hours a week of study and watching videos online. The only reason I've been able to buy apartments at the scale I've been able to do it is because I put in a ton of time and effort. And I know all my friends that and other people who have done it as well. It takes a ton of time and energy. It's not easy. So be willing to do that. Be willing to put in the time, expect it, and just eat problems for breakfast, like I said, because it's going to happen. It's inevitable. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I would piggyback on what the guys have said. Really, you have to go all in on this. Find a mentor, work for a firm, try to partner with people. But I think energy really matters. John and I talk about this like every week. If your energy is clear and you're very focused, people can detect that, and that's where the opportunities will find you. So it's all about focus and making sure you're not doing too many things, and having, if you are doing the right things, or if you do have multiple businesses, having the systems in place is really, really important. So
good advice. Lady Z, we appreciate your comment too. We definitely couldn't do it without these awesome panelists. So I'd like to give a huge thank you to Ronny, John, and Dave.
Guys.
Yeah, if there's no more questions, I guess we can wrap it up. Dustin, if you had any final thoughts.
Nope, that's it. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing everyone in person here soon, hopefully. So
Thank you guys. You have a great show. We appreciate it.
cool. Take care.
Awesome. See you guys.
All right. See everyone.
Thank you so much.
Take care.